Good evening, and for the last time in this course, it's time for my Sunday night recap of the week before and the look ahead to the week coming up. And this week we're going to finally wrap things up by continuing with the theme in amateur and college sports that really got going last week and we've been building to. With what a lot of you pointed out in the discussion, it seems like every sport management course you take, you end up with a discussion of Title IX. And what does it mean? And you probably looked at that more in the foundations course and in the sport and society course and probably a little bit in sport marketing. And here we are again in sport economics talking about this law that several of you also rightfully pointed out was never written with sport in mind as its sole purpose. It's quite a broad law. It talks about equality of opportunity in every educational field that receives federal funds. And really, that means any institution that takes federal money in just about any form is bound by this law, and it has created quite a bit of change over the 44 years now since it's been in effect. So it's been around for a long time, and it's really changed the landscape. And I, for one, I think have been, Title IX came into effect the year I entered college in 1972. That's when I started my athletic career, and believe me, right then, that's when I started my college athletic career. And at that moment, there were not many opportunities for women in college sports. And the opportunities were developing and growing while I was there. They've continued and developed and grown over the years. I've seen what it's done to athletic programs. I've seen the great things it's done for my kids. It's just been change has been the theme, and it's just been not upheaval, it's been really revolutionary and evolutionary at the same time, and that's why we spend so much time talking about it. And I read with quite a bit of pleasures the once again that you guys did a great job. You didn't need me to spark a discussion. The varying opinions that people had, that what it meant to them, what did they see. Few of you were not afraid to speak up and say you really didn't like it, you really didn't like what it does, or you don't think it's necessary anymore. Great discussion for all of you, but it's a topic we need to keep in mind. And so somebody mentioned too that they wrote a paper on Title IX in their last class and feel that you're a little bit of a knowledgeable about it and a little bit of an expert. Little story I had to when I was studying for my doctorate at Creighton University, ended up writing a fairly long paper about Title IX, and heavens forbid I should remember what course it was right now, and I, to my surprise, discovered that the instructor that was going to grade that paper was one of the leading attorneys who had helped draft Title IX, and so my sudden expertise, I went to feeling like, oh my gosh, maybe I don't know anything. But I ended up doing pretty well on it, so maybe I did learn something along the way. Okay, where are we going this week? I'm going to stay with amateur sports, going to stay with college sports, look at Chapter 11, look at some of the material in the week. And we have a very interesting question that was written a while ago, and some things have happened since I wrote that discussion question. And simply I've asked in this last week, should college athletes be paid? Since then we've had the O'Bannon decision, we've had a change in the structure of the NCAA, which allows for a few more financial benefits to some college athletes, but not all. And it's a way that gives us a chance to look at the state of amateur sport and one more time look at it. Is it amateur sport? Is it a business? What does it do? I've just spent a long time researching a lot of material on what does sport, intercollegiate sport, mean to a smaller school? And in a smaller school like Post, it means quite a bit differently than say it does at say an Ohio State. You know, at Post on campus, there's about 700 students. Over 45% of them are student athletes, and intercollegiate athletics certainly has a different meaning to an institution like us. It's a way that we can differentiate ourselves from other people. It's a way that we attract students to want to come to our university. It's a very important part of our university community. Not so much the business part that it might be at a major Division I school. So these are things I really want you to think about this week. So when I ask that question, should a D1 athlete be paid? Maybe take away the D1. Should any college athlete be paid? Look at the time commitment. Many of you have been involved in college sports. Look at the time commitment you put in when you decide to play, when you make that commitment to play. It's huge. How do you balance your life? That's huge. How many people are going to go on and earn their living from sport? Very, very few. So that's where kind of the last unit and the last thing we'll be wrapping up with. And then, of course, this week you have that final exam, which I said I'm admitting is a bit of a curveball because I've kind of snuck up on you with it because we really didn't spend too much time on international sport. But the reason that's in there is I'd like you to use your imagination. I'd like you to use your powers of creativity. I'd like you to really look at the question very hard and think, if I were now going to advise a developing nation in how to use sport to benefit their economy, to benefit their society, how would I do it? What would I recommend to them? Would I recommend to them, a crash program to make the World Cup finals in soccer? Would I look at developing individual sports such as golf or tennis as a way to have my countrymen appear around the world in a favorable light? Would I use it to provide opportunities for recreation and health for my society? Would I use it to draw money to my country? Okay? These are the kind of questions I want you to ask. Look at some of the evidence we have over the years, some of the Olympic committees that have come together, brought games to their countries, and it's been kind of an albatross for them for years afterwards. And I look at Greece in 2004. Even going back to my youth, the Montreal games in 1976, literally, they're still paying for it up there. And what did they get out of it? The Expos got that stadium. The Montreal Expos, now the Washington Nationals. Those kind of things happen. So, think, be creative, put all your knowledge together, and go ahead, have fun with it. And believe me, I'm not going to grade it on a strict interpretation of, well, you didn't consider this or you did consider that, because I admit, I'm asking you, I'm encouraging you, I want you to be creative, but I want you to keep it within the context of this economic and business environment that we've been trying to discuss. Okay? Don't know if I'm going to get to talk to you again before the end of the course. I often try, and I have a very spotty record at making it back into talking to everybody before things end. If I don't, it's been great working with you all. Please, in this last week, ask questions again. The Ask the Professor box is open and waiting for inquiries, because again, I know this final assignment might be a little bit odd to you. Please stay in touch if you have any questions about anything going forward. I'm always available to answer. And this is one of my favorite topics. This is one of my favorite subjects to teach. When I get into the world of sport in an academic context and get a chance to bring in all my economics background, there's really not much better for me as an academic at that point. So it's been great working with you all. Wish you all the success in the world. Good luck with the final. Ask any questions. Have a good time. Thank you, and good night.